face and start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares on the best part of my day.
The goods from the woods.
Hot damn!
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
I'm Pat Riley.
This is a good minute of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
And today we are joined by the host of Ignorance is #blessed and the person who released one of my favorite comedy records of last year, which is called Please Don't Leave Me. Give it up for our guest.
Jessica Michelle Singleton.
Yeah.
Oh, my voice is so jarring.
It's okay.
Thank you for laughing.
It's a nice voice.
Hey, you have a nice voice. Thank
And if
you.
people
so do you, honey.
if
It's a
people
weird
have
pair.
suffered through 150 episodes of listening to my like weird surfer southern inflection,
Is that what you think
it's
it sounds
fine.
like?
Yeah, I think
Surfer
so.
Southern inflection.
That sounds like a fancy way to say Tampa trash.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are my
Exactly.
people. Yeah. Oh, man. I just feel like I sound like a chain-smoking trucker all the time.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's our audience right
Yeah,
there.
exactly. That's
Our
here.
that's our people.
Yes.
I guess to start, tell us about your podcast first of all. 'cause
Okay. Ignorance is #blessed.
It's I give it up, the funniest podcast title in a long time. I don't think I know of the only thing that's even close to it, and it's not because yours is like very clever. The one that's close to it in funniness, but for the opposite reason, because it's so dumb, would have to be Come Town.
Oh, yeah.
Come Town.
Town,
What a
yeah.
great name.
What a dumb
Just so ridiculous.
an aggressively stupid name. Yours is aggressively clever, and I respect you for it.
But knowing Nick Mullen, actually, I would expect nothing less of a name than
right?
Come
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, that's what they landed on.
Such a perfect name.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing how many people think that like they don't understand that it's a play on words. Like people like,
Yeah.
they think that I think the phrase is ignorance is blessed. And I'm like, it's bliss, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point of the podcast. It's just an interview style podcast where I basically have people on and I ask them like the dumb questions that you would think about the things that they're saying, but you would be like, if I asked that, people would be like, what an idiot.
Oh, okay.
Like it's borderline offensive, but like in a satirical,
Gotcha.
Right.
like, why can't I say the N-word or whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was wondering with the title, is there anybody who thinks it's a religious show? Have you got any feedback of that?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
That's interesting. I never thought, that makes sense.
Because right when you started saying like some people think, I was like, oh god, are you getting like tweets like, why aren't you talking more about Jesus?
Right. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of disappointed basic bitches because of the #blessed.
Yeah, the #blessed.
I thought this would be more like, I don't know,
The one that
pop culture oriented.
The one that I always love with #blessed is that I always see it where it's like somebody I went to high school with who's like boyfriend is taking them to like the melting pot for anniversary dinner, and they're just like, my man knows how to provide #blessed.
Right? You're like, oh, what's happening?
Wait, what's the melting pot?
It's the fondue restaurant.
It's the fondue
chain.
restaurant. It's the
Yeah.
last restaurant I ate at with my dad before he abandoned me for the second time.
Did you get the cheese or the chocolate?
We did the full, it was like the full course. So you got the cheese appetizer, then there's like a meat marinade, and then there was chocolate, and then no more dad.
What?
I think the bill was too expensive. But the first time we left him in a Waffle House, so at least he stepped it up.
Okay, wait. We have to go back. What?
See, this is the amazing thing about this podcast. We did not plan this whatsoever.
Well,
just convergence is beautiful.
yeah, it really is.
Everything's sort of revealed as it goes along.
I was gonna say, yeah, we spent a tremendous amount of time talking about Waffle House, but you were the first person who was abandoned.
Yes, I was abandoned in a Waffle House.
Well, the first person on the show that
On the
was,
show.
but certainly not the first person in real life.
No, there's
definitely
probably
not.
There's probably so many people that have been abandoned in Waffle Houses, and they're all in
Well,
Alabama somewhere.
There's probably some there right now.
I was Southern Mississippi, but close enough. No. Yeah.
That was in southern Mississippi.
Yeah, it was
Like,
on the Gulf Coast. I used to live there before I moved to Alaska.
oh shit! So you were like, you know what, like
Yeah.
Ocean Springs, Biloxi.
Ocean Springs. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I never expect anyone to know the name of that town, but yeah.
home of Walter Anderson, one of my favorite artists.
Oh my God. And he used to take boats out to, there's a little island called Horn Island, and he would just paint butt naked on this island.
Yeah.
He was, when I was little, I thought he was as famous as Picasso because you grow up learning about Walter Anderson.
Of course. Yeah.
And now I bring him up and people are like, who? And I'm like, Walter Anderson, he painted a lot of birds and stuff. And they're like, no, man, I don't know what you're talking about.
I only know because my mom is, super artsy hippie lady. And so she took me there. It's this guy, Walter Anderson, who worked out of Ocean Springs, Mississippi. And you can still tour.
I've gathered that part.
You can tour his whole house.
Apparently he
house.
painted on birds, you said, naked.
No, he painted on an island.
He painted on canvas.
Yeah.
Okay, he painted on canvas.
Nude.
And he painted nudes on canvas, or he painted birds on canvas.
He was nude.
He was nude.
Okay.
His
He was just
paintings
naked.
were. I mean, they
was
they
a
were
lot of, like-
birds and turtles.
It was like
and-
Gulf Coast life.
Yeah.
Style, or like, yeah.
But his house, he painted every wall of the house and the floor. So when you
Yeah.
go in,
Did he paint them on canvas, or did he just paint them
No,
with
he just painted the walls.
Dinty Moore, or
Just
whatever
pure-
you call it?
Like just straight on the wall.
Yes.
There's a bedroom where there's one wall is painted like the sunrise, and then there's a sun in the sky, and then the other wall is a full sunset.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that's
okay.
awesome. They should do that in like a custom van or something. 'cause
That would be my
yeah.
dream home.
van.
Just a custom sunset painted van.
well, it's like van art inside because you see the coming dawn through the back windows and things. And
Yeah. Yeah, we'll put a link to that on our.
I've
on
seen
our
van
Twitter.
art that looks like that. I think that's
Yeah.
what came to mind.
Of like
I feel
Like a
sunset.
stars and like a sunset in the back.
Oh, where it just goes from the, yeah, that makes sense.
Interior van art.
How many vans have you been in?
A lot of vans.
Yeah, you seem like a van man.
Girls I'm after, they're all in vans, baby.
All van.
Well, it's not just it's not just the girls in the vans. It's just sometimes it's cheaper than a car.
My older stepbrother got a van once and he was like, I finally got a vehicle. And it was this like real creepy van and it only had the two front seats. And then in the back, he just had lawn chairs, like pulled out. Those like stripy ones from the 90s. Just
like the little
the full beach chairs that people put by their pools.
Recline all the way, and there were two of them. In
Yeah.
the
And it's like, what?
Well, vans you can make in here a little like drug clubhouse.
For sure. But like all he did was put those chairs. There was no like blankets, no decorations. It's just like windowless van with gross chairs rolling around.
Yeah,
minimal decoration.
And it was like bright blue. It was painted bright blue.
my first car ever was a 1978 Chevrolet Caprice Classic station wagon.
What? That's amazing.
So, for those listening, to picture it, find a DVD of National Lampoon's
I was going to say
Vacation.
it had the wood panels.
It did not have the wood panels, but it was almost exactly the same car. Like Clark Griswold's. It is that size. It was.
I
a
wanted
fucking
one of those.
boat. It was huge. And leading up to me getting my license, first of all, my dad had this car since time immemorial. Like he probably bought it in. Maybe
And you said it was white?
the early 80s. Well, when I first got it, I think it started off as maybe brown and had been sun bleached to the point where it was now a light.
It was just covered in bird shit.
It was like an off-white.
Yeah.
And,
no, I think that might be a standard color.
Yeah. Oh,
Like, just dingy.
brown. Dingy.
Like
yeah,
all
that like 80s, like
skull.
why did everyone choose that?
yeah, Caprice Classics only came in like
Almost
tinge
gold.
colors.
Well, yeah, there's like dark tan and light
dinge.
tan. Yeah.
It didn't have the
Yeah.
panels, did it?
No, this one didn't. But what happened
Bummer.
was, like, my dad used this car as his like work car. So he painted. He was a house painter, and so he had all of his like paint and brushes and ladders and also like solvent and acetone. So
Wow.
this thing smelled like.
Were you just high all the time?
Yeah,
on fumes?
kind of like it had this
It
like
never came out.
just this amazingly sweet sort of turpentine,
The turpentine
smell about
mobile.
it. Yeah, so you drive
How
around.
much brain damage did you suffer driving this car?
There's no telling. Oh, it was a disaster. There was no air conditioning, so you had
stuck
to,
in the
A
turpentine.
heater?
you had to ventilate. You know, there was no choice. It did have a heater, but there was no AC. So you.
I
had
don't know
to-
why I said heater. It's like we should make it hotter in here with the fumes.
Yeah, but you had to roll down the windows and stuff. And like I said, my dad had had this car since the early '80s. I got my driver's license in July of 2002, I guess, and by mid-July, less than 15 days later, I had thrown a rod and the car was on the back of a tow truck.
Oh
Done.
no!
Because no one told me I couldn't drive to Atlanta.
Wah, wah, wah.
I just
So
I just imagine like Rivers driving the car just like with his chili bowl haircut and his like just fish blasting out of the thing with his
Yeah.
Teva sandals on, just like
no, you and I both enjoyed my
chunks and chunks and chunks and chunks, and you're just like doing that goofy dance while you're just
Is that, that's your fish song, Chunks and Chunks.
yeah. That's the only word that I get out of any of those.
Chunk,
Yeah, chunks,
chunks, and
yeah,
chunks.
crunchy chunks of chunks and chunks.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I didn't tell you about the upgrade. This is the last thing I'll say about it. The upgrade I got, we went to Mako. We made
Better get Mako.
We made a Mako mistake-o, and that was what we called it back in the day. Somebody
That's a good one.
Somebody at the high school took their shitty like Civic, to get a Mako
Paint job. I almost
Yeah.
did it with my my '94 Ford Ranger.
Fucking
Gonna go
A.
hot pink.
Hell yeah! Well, and then you come to school, and then it's like, oh, he made a Mako mistake-o.
That's amazing.
But the one I wanted was the iridescent like Master P had on his Impala.
Oh
in-
my
in,
God. Wait, was it?
Cribs?
Was this a different car though?
No, this was for the station wagon.
Oh, just getting the upgrade. Okay.
Yeah. This was for the station wagon. And,
That's amazing.
But iridescent paint was $200 and regular was $99.99.
That's crazy that it was like that price, right?
Oh, I'm sure it looked garbage, though.
Yeah.
Of course. But I chose a candy apple red with metallic flake, and of course,
Stop it.
Sounds like a damn Power Ranger.
right. Well, here's what they don't tell you: metallic flake is man for glitter.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so it looked like them things that you put in like
I would've-
quarter in
you
outside
didn't-
a supermarket.
It looked. Yeah, it looked.
You looked how you had a glittery car.
That's exactly what it looked like.
Like,
It looked
you know-
like the
you know-
vending machine at the
You
supermarket.
know the things the kids ride on? You put a nickel in when it's a boat or a car or
Yeah.
or one of those rides in a amusement
Carousel,
park.
yeah,
Yeah.
mini
Oh,
carousel.
yeah.
And you ever look at like the finish on the cars? It's always like a glitter
glittery red-
finish
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
I would have never put those two things together. That is precisely the color of this car, though. Like sort of like a dark cherry red.
What a
with
dream.
glitter. And then as a final touch, and this is why I brought this up, is it had this tremendous like backspace where
Yeah.
you could pretty much like almost lay all the way
Recline,
down.
yeah.
So I got, in anticipation of the unyielding avalanche of pussy that I was going to
Of
get in
course.
the.
I better get some fuzzy seats.
I got the fuzzy dice.
No.
And I got also do you remember those cushions that were shaped like a chair that you put on the bed? They were kind of like puffy.
Oh yeah,
And they had
Yeah, they
arms
look
on
like
them.
they had little arms on
out.
them.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
so
about.
I had 3 of those in like a communion setup in the back in case we were gonna like hotbox back there.
Yeah, like that 70s show in your car.
Right, but what my dad didn't tell me is that the back window just leaked all over. So after it rained a couple of times, I got in the car and it had the
was like the
stench of
mildew.
death.
Oh.
It was like the worst smell, and I was like, "What is that?" It's
That's
bad.
another stinky car.
Well, that's the
Rivers.
thing.
Well,
You-
now it's covering up the smell of all the turpentine.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. This was like fucked up because it was beating turpentine in the smell contest. Like it was that fucking horrible.
Jesus.
And so I had to throw out all my
Rivers, yeah,
pillows.
your car stinks.
Yeah, it was and then I drove it to Atlanta, and I wasn't going to see Fish Pat. I was going to see Les Claypool featuring Trey Anastasio.
Oh.
And
Sorry.
the car didn't make it. My dad had it for 20 years. I had it for less than 20
How
days.
far did it make it to Atlanta?
It made it to Atlanta, and
So you
then-
saw the
okay.
concert.
I saw the concert, but then it made it back to LaGrange.
Yeah,
Oh,
at least you
man.
didn't get stuck in like Villa Rica or something like that.
Well, you accomplished the objective.
I reckon
you
so.
saw the show.
Yeah.
And then everyone got to see your car on the way to Atlanta.
Yeah, that's right.
They probably got to smell it too.
My dad and I used to call those fishing cars.
Yeah, that's definitely what this was.
Yeah, it's like one of those ones that's like it's a car that has to have a bunch of cane poles stuck.
Yeah,
in
just
it.
like rods in the back.
Yeah, and like
Yep.
just some tin foil on the windows
The
because it doesn't have air conditioning.
my parents named their cars, and that particular car was the Queen Mary.
The Queen Mary.
Because it was fucking huge. It was a boat. So
Okay, so y'all did any of y'all others have family named cars? We had the Mountie Mobile.
The Mountie Mobile?
It was named for the wrestler, the Mountie. I shit you
what
not.
kind of car was it?
It was a station wagon.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
Ours were the Queen Mary, which was the one that eventually became my car. Before that, we had one that did have the paneling. The wood paneling.
You
wood
just
is. We used to go
always
to
had
Wood
those
is.
station wagons?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Were you
we
a
did.
2-station wagon house?
Yeah, well, fuck yeah, we were.
Wow, money
Oh, yeah.
bags.
2 stations and a Dodge Diplomat, baby.
I don't even know what that is.
It's imagine like any 80s movie with like police cars. It looks like
Oh,
that,
okay.
like an 80s cop car, but
Hilarious.
not a Caprice, a little bit smaller.
Dodge Diplomat.
It was like one step down from a Chevy Celebrity.
Wow.
But
What fun names.
I know.
Was the standard in your house that you had to buy a car that got less than 10 miles to the gallon?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they made cars that had
Well,
less
those
than
were
10
the
miles
good
a gallon.
old days.
Yeah.
Well, we had the station wagon with the panels, and that was a gray station wagon with wood panels, and that one was called the Gray Goose.
The Gray Goose.
Yeah, instead of the Spruce Goose.
The Gray Goose,
Amazing.
imaginative.
We did get a white
Classy.
Chevy, or I'm sorry, a white Dodge Caravan, Grand Caravan, and that was of course Vanna White.
Vanna White. That's amazing.
Is it still going? Because Vanna is.
No, that car went away. But the Dodge Diplomat, when we got that car, I was like, I want to name this car.
What'd you name it?
And at the time, I was a huge Jurassic Park fan. And in Jurassic Park, the toys that they released. Yeah. And it had nothing to do. Of course, I was like, Mom, get a Jeep.
Wranglers were so cool.
Yeah. But when they released that Wrangler, the Jurassic Park, the gray with the, with the red trim and all that stuff, they released it as a toy. They couldn't call it a Jeep Wrangler because they didn't want to pay the rights. So they had to rename it. So the toy version of that car was the Bush Devil Tracker. And
Bush Devil Tracker.
And so when my mom was like, well, what do you want to name the car? I was like, Bush Devil Tracker. And she's like, what the fuck?
It's too long.
The
My
fuck
kid's
are you talking
possessed.
about? Yeah.
It needs the article, the Bush Devil Tracker.
Bush
they give
Devil
it gravitas.
Tracker. Yeah.
It's just Bush Devil Tracker. What the hell is that?
Well, and it's a fun because you could put the emphasis on any of the words, So
Yeah. Bush Devil Tracker.
the Bush Devil Tracker sounds much different.
Bush Devil Tracker.
Oh, yeah, because then it's like there's a Bush Devil.
Yeah, or the Bush Devil Tracker.
You're right. It's a versatile
Bush
name. I'll give
Devil
you that.
Tracker, and then something about how it's a diplomat and Bush. I don't
Yeah.
know. What year was this?
This was 1993.
Oh, right. Well, he was alive.
Yeah, it was. Was he still the president then? I think
No,
I mean,
that
he
was-
was
he was
president for a
lame duck.
month.
He was lame duck. Yeah.
And I Don't Want to Come Back Down from This Cloud was on the charts.
there you go. Jurassic Park came out.
Great song. Jurassic Park. Great movie.
Aladdin was that in the
Hold
movies? I
on to your
think.
butts.
93, yeah.
Burger King did that thing where they had popcorn and table service.
What? I don't remember that.
Table service at the BK.
Some places did it.
We were a Mickey D's household.
So when you left Mississippi, where did you go?
So you were
Oh yeah, shit, the Waffle House.
abandoned.
What the hell happened at the Waffle House?
Oh, my dad left me in a Waffle House and drove away, and then
How old were you?
I was 8.
Oh God.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'm more of a pancake person. So I just got a ride home to a small town, and then my dad showed up a few days later, and then like 6 months later, abandoned the family in the middle of the night.
After fondue, though.
Yeah, no,
you think they
no,
would've
no.
seen it coming
That was like
after the
years
Waffle
later. Like I went to college in Florida, and he lived in Florida, so I would see him every once in a while, and then he took me out for my 21st birthday to
get fondue.
to Melting Pot.
Yeah,
and
that's
then,
where all major events.
And then
end
like
up
a
at.
week later, him and his like wife had just like left town and left their house. I think they were like losing their house or something. I don't know. They're clearly not great people.
He did bring you out for the fondue
But
on
he,
birthday.
you know
before
what? It's like
He didn't
it
have
was
to do
so
that.
good. Then I was like, was the bill too expensive? And he's like, I like, did I do too much? I want fondue right now. At least
Oh
he
wait,
didn't
so
ruin
you
that for me.
since have you talked to him about this?
No,
And that's it.
No, that was it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him. I talked to him once very briefly in 2012 because I didn't even have his phone number, but I was trying to track my brother down, and my brother, I guess, was living with him.
Oh my god.
And then I talked to him for like 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes. He answered the phone. I was like, hello, can I speak to Tom? And he's like, there's some girl on the phone for you. And my brother's like, you mean your daughter? And he's like, I think I would know my own daughter. And I was like, oh, this is a tough time to be in an unair-conditioned apartment in the summer alone.
Shit.
Good times. Builds character.
What was on the jukebox?
Everything's probably just, God, 90s country.
Was it the?
It's the best.
It was
90s
not a
country's my
Waff-
favorite.
Not Waffle House originals.
No, probably not.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It was Mississippi. I feel like it was like Neon Moon.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so then when did you move to Alaska?
Probably a couple years later. I was in 6th grade. My mom just came home and was like, I got a job in Alaska, kids. We're moving. And she packed us in her Subaru and shipped all of our belongings, and we drove from Mississippi to Alaska.
No.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it was the worst. It's crazy because there was a hurricane coming. It was Hurricane Jorge, which
Yeah.
I was like, why didn't they just call it George? But that's just like me being a Mississippi child. Like, it's George's. I can read it. But we left a day earlier than we were planning just because my mom is like a manic cuckoo bird, and she's like, let's just go today. And I was like, oh, I didn't get to say bye to my friend. She's like, let's go. And
Jesus.
and then the next day the hurricane hit the Gulf Coast and a tree went through our house and it would have killed me.
Shit.
Like if we were like that night. So like I mean
Just missed disaster.
yeah, so it's a weird I'm pretty skeptical about life, but I'm like maybe fate. I don't know.
Yeah.
You go like, I could have died from a tree, and then now I'm like, why wasn't I there?
Knock on wood.
Yeah, she died from Hurricane Jorge. Like,
Was it the one that was George, but with the S at the end?
Yeah.
So it was like,
yeah, no one knew how to pronounce it.
It's pronounced George.
Yeah, I still don't even know. But yeah, no, we drove in a Subaru. And it was like October in Mississippi.
How long did that take?
That must have taken forever.
It took 13 days, if I remember right.
Fuck.
We drove to Seattle.
Your
'cause
mom's just like, I'm only driving 2 hours a day.
yeah, well, I was like, we stopped in Texas and visited my aunt. So I think that was an
okay.
extra 2 days of just visiting. And then it was just my mom and then 2 kids. And she's just jacked up on caffeine pills trying to drive 12 hours a day. But we went up to Seattle and drove the car onto a ferry and took a ferry boat. So it probably would have been quicker if we went straight through Canada. But my mom's like, it's an adventure. And ferry boats are like the Greyhound bus of the water.
Yeah.
So we're just sleeping on
Like the
this dirty
floating
boat.
parking lot.
So you're just sleeping are you on the boat or in the car?
Well,
on
the
boat?
car is on the boat, but we
Yeah.
had a cabin
Oh, okay.
on the boat. And she's like, it's like a cruise ship. I'm like, no, it's not.
I can't imagine, because I think I've seen some of those ferries before, and I can't imagine taking that long trek, because those are really kind of beat up and
Yeah. And we're on it for 2 or 3 days, I think.
oh geez, wow.
And it stops at all the islands on the way up because some people get off and Ketchikan and Juneau.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
my mom was trying to be like, we can see all. It's like, no.
So it's a cruise again. The cruise
Yeah, but
metaphor.
it's
yeah,
just
it's a cruise, except
we're eating Easy Mac.
Yeah,
And
It's the ghetto cruise.
yeah.
I mean, the only food that you get on there is hot dogs and stuff,
Yeah.
or stuff that you can get on a microwave.
Yeah,
it's like
pretty
taking
much. There's a snack bar.
It's like taking an Amtrak, essentially. Where
Eat
it's
the
just-
fish you catch off the side.
yeah.
it's-
That would have been fun. Why don't they have fishing on those boats?
I think they have them on cruise ships. I don't
They
know.
do.
Probably
They
not on
have
ferries.
charters. Yeah. So
That has to make its way down onto the ferry boats. They can maybe have comedians and things too.
Or if you have a fishing car, you've already got a cane pole in the station wagon.
That's right.
Oh, dude, I'd imagine the comics they could get on that ferry.
for the ferry.
Yeah.
Just
People would do that.
hell yeah, Mr. TV and stuff.
That'd be
be awesome.
amazing.
Hey, if it paid, who wouldn't do it, man?
yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a ferry. It's an excursion boat.
yeah, they'll-
I'm an entertainer on water.
Way up north to Alaska. Way up north to Alaska. North to Alaska. Go north for Russia's home. North to Alaska. Go north to Russia's home. Way up north.
Where in Alaska did you live? Because so far, the 2 comedians that we've spoken with from Alaska probably guessed right away.
Yeah.
Nick West and Finn
In
Straley.
Fitzgerald, yeah.
Nick West,
Juneau, right?
being from Juneau. Finn Straley being from an
Sitka.
obscure island
Sitka?
called Sitka. Yeah.
Yeah, we stopped in Sitka. Yeah, it's one of those, that whole chain. I lived in Anchorage, so
Oh,
we're
so
the big city.
Yeah. The cosmopolitan Alaska.
Yeah, where it's that's where you go to really live it up, sort of like the New York City of Alaska.
yeah.
But more I don't know, it's still so trashy. You growing up there was I live in a big city, and I left and I was like, man, what a bunch of Not big city people.
What's there? Is there oil or is there a base or something?
There's oil further north. There's like a pipeline and stuff. In Anchorage, my mom was working for the military, so there's an Air Force base, Elmendorf.
Oh, okay.
So she wasn't in the military. She just always, for some reason,
doing,
had a job.
Civil service. Or...
Yeah, she's always been like a secretary for someone who's important. Now she lives in South Korea.
Oh, shit.
She's like working for the government over there. Part of me is like, what if she's this Mr. Magoo secret agent I don't know about? We're in so much trouble if that's true. Because like, oh man. Yeah.
Maybe that's how she knew a hurricane coming. Got that intel from the NOAA weather service.
Yeah, maybe. She has a googly eye too, so I feel like it could be like a magic, like that Mad Eye Moody.
When my eye twitch, I know there's going to be a tree falling or a hurricane coming.
Storms are brewing, and it just starts spinning. I have rheumatoid arthritis, so like when the rain's coming, I get.
Feel it.
Sometimes I don't realize that's what's happening. I'll just have bad pain days and be like, and then like a day or two later it rains, and I'm like, oh well, that's what that was.
Oh, barometric
this is the
pressure.
place to live then, because you will not have that problem here, because it rains maybe once, twice every 2 years.
Yeah, we had that chunk, and I was like, oh man, but yeah, no, I didn't get diagnosed till a couple years ago, but starting in Alaska, like in high school, I was like, Mom, I think there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're a hypochondriac, you play a lot of sports, you're fine.
Oh, geez.
But I'd just like have like wake up and have my arms would be like so stiff that I'd have to run them under like scalding hot water.
Oh man.
I sound like I'm fine, you know? I'm gonna be okay.
It's bad arthritis for a 16-year-old.
Yeah, well, it's an autoimmune kind, so it's like my immune system is just like attacking my joints. So it just, I don't know, and for some reason with the cold too.
Oh yeah, I didn't
Alaska
think
was
about
like the
that.
worst place I could live.
Yeah, I forgot that snow is precipitation, so it works the same.
Yeah. Well, this is also just how shitty my body is within a week of moving to Alaska, we discovered I have a rare but serious, this is a real thing, allergy to cold weather.
Okay.
It's called urticaria, and I just break out into hives.
Oh my gosh. Shit. How long did you live there?
For like 6th grade through graduation.
So you're allergic to cold, and you lived in Alaska.
I didn't have a chance. I was I just had to stay indoors. I never got into like winter sports because I was like, I'm turned into a hive. Like,
oh fuck, that's oh my god.
Well, it's just I just have I swear my body like at a molecular level is constantly just trying to end it all. Like I'm allergic to grass. If I get too hot, I get like heat exhaustion really easily. I just have
hard to find a climate.
Yeah, I just have the body of like a sick 90-year-old.
Shit. 6 years in Alaska. The army didn't have another job for.
No, she didn't go well, as soon as I left, though, I went to college in Florida because I was like, what's the weather opposite, but still the people are as trashy. So
Yeah, exactly.
I won't feel like.
So it feels like home in a way.
You know, it's like I can't go anywhere too sophisticated. They'll sniff me out, you know. But
that's on the sign when you drive into Florida. Not too sophisticated.
Yeah, not too.
No. I mean, no. It's the state motto, and the state motto of Florida is "ball with the ball to bang the bang." Take.
But then she started taking jobs outside of Alaska, but they were all like weird. She went to Afghanistan and Iraq. So I'm like, well, I guess.
Well, that's better. I
wouldn't
guess.
have wanted to go there with you, so that's fine.
That doesn't have rain either, but they have bullets instead.
Yeah, so it's raining something.
Yeah, where in Florida did you go?
University of South Florida in Tampa.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is not even South Florida. My mom, I have family in Tampa. And when I was applying for colleges, my mom put in an application there. I didn't know that it existed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she's like, your letter from USF is here.
She put it in for you. She was really guiding your life in a way.
No, I mean, what a nightmare. But well, and it's like, it turns out you didn't need an essay or anything. Like I ended up going there because they gave me a great scholarship. And then I got there and I was like, oh yeah, because this is everyone else's like fallout school. Everyone who went there was like, well, I wanted to be a Gator, but I didn't get in, you know. But
and is that where you started doing stand up? Was in Florida, or was it later?
I did it a little bit in Florida at the end of college. I kind of was like had spent my entire college career being like, I mean, I'm going to college, but I'm going to be a comedian. Just saying that,
Right.
And just I'm a funny person, whatever. And then by my last semester, I was like, I should
probably do this.
I try to figure out because originally I was like, I want to be on SNL, but I don't know how to do that, so I'll try stand up. And then the first time I did stand up, I was like, oh no, this is what I want to do.
Right.
But I was like, well, I did it once. I better save up and move to New York City. So, like, over the course of a year and a half, I probably got up like 3 times, and I was just working 3 jobs and hoarding money, and then ended up coming to LA.
Right. That's eerily similar to what I did. Like I was driving long ass distances to like go to open mics, trying to go like once a week and be diligent about it. But and then I was like, I guess I'm ready to leave forever.
Yeah, and that's weird how, I mean, just hearing where people started out in places that weren't LA, where it's just like, yeah, there were 2 open mics. One was like 20 minutes away. The other one was
Atlanta.
Yeah. Atlanta.
Where you're like, let's all carpool.
Yeah. And let's all pool together our money, and then, you know, we'll all drive out there and do our 3 minutes, and then we'll head back. And it's just like, it blows my mind. That it's like,
and we had 2 clubs in the city, and it was like this weird rivalry. I was like, this is like a lame West Side Story. People are like, I don't work at that club.
What?
I only work the Improv. And
there's an Improv in Tampa, and what's the other?
Side Splitters.
Side Splitters. That's what
and
it
I'm
is,
like,
yeah.
okay, well, I just want to get on stage.
Yeah.
It's just like that cartoonish idea of a club booker that's like, if you don't work for my club only, you can't work. Like, just
You'll never work in this town again. You'll never work in Tampa again.
there can only be one club. And it's like,
If you're working at that club, get the fuck out of Ybor City.
fucking Ybor City.
The only Tampa reference I know.
That's where the Improv is. Right in Ybor City.
Ybor City.
Ding, ding, ding. All right.
Yeah, fuck.
I was either going to go with that or get the fuck out of Busch Gardens.
No. Yeah,
You honed in on it, Rivers.
Busch Gardens. That's fun.
Ybor is Ybor is cool. I mean, it has like the casino there. I think is in Ybor.
Is it?
What is Ybor? Robe spelled backwards? Or something?
It would be Roby spelled back.
YBOR. It was great for nightclubs like in college when you're just a dumb 18-year-old and everyone's like, let's go to Ybor City.
Yeah.
We're going to drink on a roof.
Yeah, I know.
Washing X's off your hands or whatever fucking.
I have to say, though, I'd never heard of this place before 5 minutes ago, but it sounds like there's a lot going
Ybor
on.
City is, that's where I think the Hard Rock Casino is and all the nightclubs are. And then over from Ybor City is where all the like the strip clubs.
There's Tampa's like the strip club capital.
Yeah,
of the
that's
world.
where like basically Magic Mike took place. was in that area, because there's a certain section that's the male strip clubs, and there's a certain sections that are the female.
Do they have a rivalry like the comedy clubs?
That's funny. You can only choose one.
Yeah.
I went to for one of my friends' birthdays in college. We're like, let's go to a male strip club, and we didn't know anything, so we like Googled like male strip club, and we ended up in this really shady. It was more of like a go-go bar for like old gay men. It was like dirty. It was called the mail room. There's just one like sad gay boy in the corner, like
It's more like the dead letter office.
yeah.
Was he dressed like a postman?
No, he was just in like classic go-go, but then it was just like a bunch of really like fat old guys. And then just
Do they have
us.
a buffet?
Yeah.
Do they have a buffet situation?
I don't know, but I bet they sold like wings or something from the
Okay.
back.
I went to the Stonewall Inn once, and they had the go-go guy was a like this guy in a like a fireman outfit, and he had like the fire boots and like the jacket, so he might have been FDNY.
Oh, man.
Like honestly, he could have been FDNY because those looked pretty
It was
regulation.
like legit.
Yeah, and it was just like 4 guys that all looked like Philip Seymour Hoffman. Just just like,
Yes.
Did you just decide to do this one night?
no, I had some friends of mine that were like, hey, let's go to the Stonewall.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
And we just
some kind
walked
of
in.
friends.
And then it's funny because if you went upstairs, it was the women, right? There was the space for the bottom for the men and the space on top for the women. And the go-go dancers and the women, it would look like some sort of like, there's like light shows, and it was super flashy, and it was like almost like very artistic in a way, like very stylized, like kind of like 1980s style, like you walked into the Neon Demon or something like that. And then downstairs, it's just like a guy dressed as like a sexy fireman who might have been a real fireman, getting pawed on by some just slovenly dudes. And it's just like that's the difference between male sexuality and female sexuality.
Yeah, it's just like come here, and women are like, we should have a dance number. I need sexy lights. Men don't need mood lighting.
It's just like the women, yeah, it's the when it went on top for the women's night, the lesbian night, it was like very like refined and very just, and then on the bottom
There's
it was
an
just
ambiance.
like, yeah, and then for the men it was just like carnal and needy.
Yeah.
You know? Base.
Just like,
Just
I might have told this on the show. My friend Caroline told me about a strip club that it was either her or her brother went to in Carrollton, Georgia,
oh God.
where they can't do fully nude, so everybody had to wear pasties, but
fun.
But they didn't want to pay for pasties, so everyone just had big Band-Aids.
Yeah, Band-Aids, yeah.
oh my God.
Which, to your point, it's like that is
What was it called? Nurples or something?
No, it was that way in Florida, Brevard, like certain parts of my county I grew up
They
in.
didn't even buy the round Band-Aids?
No, it was apparently just like the ones, when you get a boo-boo on your knee. The
Like
big
a big
square
square.
ones.
They make X's like
It just
Nelly?
looks like they've had like a breast augmentation recently. It was like I had to cover up I got new nipples, but they're not ready yet.
Oh, a place that smells of cigars and sweet, sweet perfume. When I get to Emo City, all them women gonna treat me like a king. Oh, yeah.
Carrollton, Georgia is the place where you can do the Mile High experience too.
Wait, what?
So there was this thing that they had in
Like, can't you do that in any plane?
Wait, I'm sorry. Is that a little Cessna that they let you fuck in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. You would
Where
get-
was this?
in Carrollton, Georgia, at the airport? There was some enterprising guy that decided, all right, I'm going to create this thing called the Mile High Experience. If you want to make it easy and you don't actually want to buy a plane ticket,
Oh, I've heard of this.
yeah, and where they go up at about 5,000 feet, and it's just this little Cessna like light airplane. And there's just a
Known for its room.
yeah.
Yeah.
Known
And there's
for
like-
you can just stretch out. and
Yeah, there's
everything.
a
Well, look, he wants to give you
curtain.
the experience on a budget.
That's why I thought you were going to say it was a flight simulator, and I was like, it just feels sad.
Yeah, there's a
Good
curtain.
enough.
There's a curtain.
Hey, do you want to fuck inside my video game?
Yeah, and I think
virtual Mile
and the
High
back
Club.
is just basically like Rivers' like station wagon dream setup.
It's got the pillows and the fuck.
God, people pay for that.
That's in Carrollton, Georgia.
Wow.
God.
Or it's in the airspace above Carrollton, Georgia.
Well, it's a little airport in Carrollton. But
Oh, man.
How much is it, by the way?
I don't know. I just read the newspaper article.
40
about it.
bucks.
$40? Why not? Does it come with like somebody to mile high with you?
This is a treacherous Google search, but
Yeah.
I'm going down the rabbit hole. Y'all be
It's
fun.
$120 and you get complimentary water and coffee.
If you don't have a partner, you can just have sex with me. It's just a man named Daryl. He just puts his butt out while he's like driving the plane.
This is a quote from the actual website. Make your fantasy a reality with Mile High Atlanta. We are located West Georgia Regional Airport near Carrollton, Georgia, just a short drive from Metro Atlanta.
Bullshit, it's a short
It's
drive.
fucking not
Oh,
at all.
God.
We will take you over 5,280 feet above the Earth's surface. You have the opportunity to join the exclusive Mile High Club for only $299. You'll have an hour flight in a Piper Cherokee 6 designed exclusively for this purpose.
Wow. What does that even mean?
No
It's just
seat
like,
belts, no seats.
It's the Fly in Love Motel.
oh, God.
Also included is a bottle of champagne.
Okay,
I
get
hope
your
it's
money's
not
worth.
domestic.
No.
And then the worst thing I've ever heard, a bottle of champagne, and you get to keep your sheets as a souvenir of this special event.
Oh, my God. Who's doing that?
Gross.
Imagine just hanging those sheets on your wall like it's a flag. Like it's a sports team. You're like, the old Mile High.
Oh, I guess that's the proof.
Also, like, why are there sheets? That's not the Mile High experience.
Right. It's covertly fucking in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Not,
Well, I mean, seriously, anybody could just, not sorry for the language, anybody could just take a sheet like that and get busy on it, hang it on their wall, and claim they was in the Mile High Club.
maybe they're special. Maybe they're airplane sheets. Maybe they're like
They have wings
special-
on
Still
them?
get the airplane sheets.
Or-
It's just for those airplane
It's the shitty
blankets.
blanket. Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's horrifying. I love that they let
also
you
for
keep the sheets.
$2.99. Just like take a cheap flight and actually join the Mile High Club.
Right. Although I will
Do you
say
know how
that
many love motels you can get for a lot cheaper than that, and it's on the ground, so there's no risk, and you get to spend more than an hour with
say, you
fun?
get to be there for however
You
long
could have like
you
a
want.
whole day.
I
Love
know.
motel. What a
There's no
word.
air sickness to deal with or anything
There's
like
free
that. or-
ESPN and HBO.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
There's
and,
an ice machine.
and then you also don't,
Microwave.
and you don't have to share an enclosed space with a guy that looks like a rancid-looking Jeff Foxworthy.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that might be part of the turn on, though.
The real question is there a partition between the pilot and the back? Like,
Right?
Does he have a little rear view mirror that he can look in on the
This
fan?
whole thing was just for some perverted man who owned a plane to watch people fuck.
It's someone who has a very, very specific.
Yeah, I got
Fantasy.
this.
I
could see Howard
this
Hughes
Piper
doing this.
Cherokee at one of them government auctions, and I'm gonna start a business and combine it with pleasure.
Yes, escort service. I like to be cucked at 50,000 feet. So can we hook that up? No, I'm gonna start a business.
I'm on it. Oh my god!
Well, you know the niche is open now.
I know they're out of business.
You
Apparently,
guys, we can
so-
all go in and get a plane.
I like it. I volunteered to be the pilot, not knowing how, but I want to wear the thing like Snoopy wears with the helmet and the scarf.
The Red Baron.
Yeah.
It's just that open plane.
Yeah. It's a
biplane.
doghouse. Lucy and Schroeder can be on the back end.
Oh God. Okay, I found one from Vegas. It's called Love Cloud.
Oh, they do have that there, I think.
Of course, they have it in Vegas. Come on.
Oh,
well,
this is
where
like
else?
a bigger plan. So this one makes more sense.
Well, it's classier in Vegas.
Oh, you have the option of bringing your own playlist of music to play for our wireless sound system, or you can pick, choose, create your own playlist of songs from our Love Cloud collection.
Love Cloud Collection.
Fuck, please tell me they have this listed on here. No, I don't think they do.
Damn it.
This one just says, after the flight, you will be presented with his and hers Mile High Club VIP certificate cards, and will then have
That's very
a
Vegas.
Photo next to
have a photo taken next to the airplane, so you can have both picture and a card to remember your romantic adventure.
you can,
And
like-
$5 off the buffet at the El Cortez.
I just.
What if you went into a doctor's office and above his like degrees, you saw his Mile High certificate?
From Love, yes,
Love Cloud.
Or just the
I'm a member of Love
photo.
Cloud.
I'm a VIP.
The
Love
photo
Cloud.
just is just amazing because you have to be like, oh, is that your plane? It's like, no, but that's the plane we.
That's the Mile High Club. There's the plane. There's the sheets.
All right, this is from Kevin B. in Sunnyvale, California.
Of course.
That's Pac-Man's hometown.
Hot damn, Love Cloud. How much fun was this? Too much fun. A very memorable experience for the wife and I. In today's modern world, it's pretty rare to do something that none of your friends have done. This is definitely it.
Well, if your
Guaranteed
friend is
laughs.
Frank Sinatra, it might be a different case.
Let's see. Stories to take home from Vegas beyond the usual. We got drunk at a nightclub.
We got drunk on a plane that we paid for.
Sounds like a pretty. It's cheaper
and
to just get drunk on a bus.
And this,
that you
and
paid
this guy,
for.
and the guy that wrote that looks like, if you look at his avatar, he looks like a lizard with Oakley razor blades on.
Of course.
Yeah.
Me and the wife is our anniversary.
Oh God, this guy. The plane is nice and everything, but when I went, unfortunately, the plane wouldn't start, so I didn't get to go up for a ride. But the pilot was friendly
Super nice.
and super nice. He offered us to reschedule.
That's
couldn't perform that day.
yeah, I couldn't get it up.
Get it up.
I mean, you can go in. I'll sit in the front seat and make plane noises.
I visited LA on like just a random trip and met some manager who's like, I'll be your manager. And I was like, I'm
Oh,
going to be a
no.
star. It won't surprise you to hear this, but it did not pan out with that manager very well.
No, how long?
No.
When was that?
2010.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You work the road a lot, though, right?
I do. Yeah. I like it. I'm trying to be better about staying in LA to do more. I'm trying to give a shit about the other things that you're supposed to give a shit
Right.
about, like getting TV stuff. I just like doing stand up. So I'm like, I'll go anywhere, whatever.
Where's like some really out of the way places that you've gone and doing this thing, or any notable shows?
God, I can't remember the name of this place in Illinois, and there was a restaurant inside of a small airport. And that's where the comedy shows were.
Did you have to go through security to do the show?
No, that's what I was like. You just walked in, and then I was like, does anyone have to go through security in this airport? The places I've gone that are just crazy.
They're like, no, you want to fly the plane?
Shows. I did a show in Reno at a bar once, and it was just, I'm standing there watching the other comic on stage, and it's like a standing room only. It's just all trashy people because it's Reno, of course, you know, like that's where you go when you're like, where can I have a community of other meth heads? And this man with one eye just bumps into me and he's like, what's up? My name's Bruiser. And I was like, yeah, you didn't have to tell me that. I could have figured that out. I mean, I've done some shit, but I've gotten to go to cool places too. I've done
what are like the coolest places?
I got to go to South Africa this year. And that was fucking sick.
Oh my God. Tell us about that.
Oh, it was amazing. I got to go to Cape Town and Johannesburg. I did a Johannesburg International Comedy Festival, and it's relatively new. It was like their second year, but
I want to apply for that. That sounds awesome.
Oh, they invited me. I met them. I did a festival in Switzerland a few years before. That
shit.
It's all just crazy how shit works out, but like,
yeah, that's awesome.
But it was really cool because just the comedy there, the ceiling for like making it is so low that like I was on TV and I was there for like a week, and I was
in Switzerland.
They like in South Africa. They had me sit. I did a day like on the writing staff of like the most popular comedy show on television, and I'd been there for like 2 weeks. And they're like, "Cool, come write with us." And they had like whatever their Emmys are and stuff. I was like,
"Did it pay?"
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It paid.
Krugerrands?
Rands, yeah. And like right before I left, their currency plummeted.
Oh shit!
But I had all my contracts in American money, so I was like, we're just gonna have to fork over more.
Smart. Wow.
But yeah, it was cool, and it was interesting because like comedy in general is like relatively new over there. Like it hasn't been around as long, so like they do a lot of race stuff, which obviously because it's like
that's their history.
Yeah, they I mean, apartheid was like the 90s. They haven't even been able to be in the same room for 20 years.
Yeah.
So of course that's the thing they focus on, but just the fact that I was doing material not on race, people were like, "Whoa, this is different." And I was like, "I'm just doing dick jokes. Like this isn't edgy." But I was like, "Yeah, I'm different." But it was cool. It was Cape Town's so fucking beautiful. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's just
Did you get to go on like
I didn't do any safaris.
Did you do a shark thing?
I went and saw the penguins that are in Cape Town.
Yeah, okay.
And those were cute. I was like, gonna go on safari, and then I don't know. I'm such a stereotype of a tiny little lady, and I was like, I'll just go see the penguins.
Where are the penguins?
They're
They're on the rocks next to the
It's
sharks.
in Cape Town. Yeah, you like drive.
So they're on the beach. This isn't like the Cape Town Aquarium thing.
No, it's like they think that they don't really know how they got there. They think they I just cartoonishly imagine them floating over on a glacier like Madagascar.
right.
But there's just like wild penguins on this.
Well, don't penguins
on the most southern point?
Well, don't they exist in all like parts like that of the southern hemisphere? Like, don't they have some on the Cape of South America or the islands
they have
off
some,
there,
like,
and in
yeah.
Australia and New Zealand too? Don't they?
I think they have some in south, but they have
like
them
Tierra del
on,
Fuego, like the very bottom.
Yeah,
they're only in the southern hemisphere,
and there's some in like the
penguins.
Falkland Islands and the South
I didn't
Georgia
know
Islands and
that.
stuff like that.
Huh.
Well, maybe then whatever I just said is a thing I made up in my head.
No,
well, maybe that particular.
No, they probably come over from there.
Well, I was going to say that. Because there's a lot of different.
Breeds of penguins.
Yeah, it might be that particular kind.
And I think they swim migrate, don't they, from like the South Pole?
I like to
things
think that they float over on like a piece of ice, like
with like an igloo on it.
Yeah, but they have like a drink with a little umbrella in it, and they're like, just living my best life.
Hashtag
maybe
blessed.
a sail too.
Yeah.
Hashtag blessed.
It was interesting because they loved dirty jokes. Like they loved my dirty material, which is great for me. Like
that's great.
But when I'd gone to Switzerland, boy, did I eat shit.
Yeah, well,
in front of a bunch of like really conservative Swiss people. Because I was like, it's Europe. I'll talk about sex. They were just like,
we're not France.
Yeah.
Where are the jokes about banking?
Yeah. Tell us about your money. Oh no.
What you were doing a comedy festival in Switzerland?
Yeah.
What was the venue? Was it like a ski town or something?
I think it was called the Miles Davis. it was in Montreux, which is
Montreux,
like
yeah.
Oh, okay.
which
Yeah,
is a
'cause
huge jazz
everything's
festival.
jazz. Yeah.
And so I guess for the last I think they're coming up on 30 years. There's been an all French speaking festival. It's always been French comedy.
Oh, okay.
And then in 2013, they were like, let's try to do English comedy. And they did like submit a video. And I submitted a video, and then they like narrowed it down to 10 people, and then people had to vote, and then they like picked the 5 that got to come over. So
okay.
like, yeah, I was the first group of English speaking comics over there.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I was the only woman, and so I was like, well, this is now what people think of American women. Sorry, guys. And then
hi, my name's Representation.
I mean,
Yeah.
but the thing is that in a lot of those like non-English speaking countries in Europe, a lot of their stand-up comedy is essentially just American stand-up comedy that they translate into their like local language,
Yeah.
word for word.
that's so funny. They just rip off bits.
Yeah, there was like a story that I read that in like France, there's like this big thing where they were just like, you're like just performing Dave Attell jokes, but in French.
In French. That's fuck. They flew us over on like a nice airline. They put us in like a 5-star hotel. And then after that, I was like, man, fuck all these American festivals. Are you kidding? I've been like, you guys, we all got to put our money together and 8 of us can stay in a Motel 6.
Yeah.
And then like, and they just spoiled me for, I mean, not that I never did American festivals after that, but I was like, man, we're getting fucked.
yeah.
How do we do these?
I'm going to South Africa.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was crazy.
Was it real hot in South Africa?
It wasn't like you would think like sub-Saharan Africa hot, but it was like warm. It was good summery weather. It was actually Johannesburg reminded me of LA a lot.
Okay.
Just even like the landscape of the economic disparity depending on where you drove. You know how
Right,
here you
right.
can drive like 2 miles and there's mansions, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, tents.
Right. Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I love the problem with the road is that like I have to remember that the road is my job, and because I'll try to eat really healthy, partly because of the arthritis. I try to
Yeah.
stick to this like weird specific diet to stop like inflammation. But I'll be like, well, I'm in a new town. I have to try the thing.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I'm just like, I've eaten so many different types of pizza. like I gotta try it all, and so it's hard to stay healthy on the road.
Where do you think is the best pizza?
Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. I like deep dish. I just love load me up on carbs.
I am with you, actually.
Yeah,
And my dad's from New York City, and I'll say that straight to his face.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not going to turn down a slice of New York pizza, but
Yeah,
if I
no.
had to choose, I'm going deep dish every time. I want to swim in my pizza. Like, I don't want to question if this is really bad for me. I want to know.
I want a pizza themed casserole.
I want to feel sick at the end. Yeah. I want to eat a bowl of pizza.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Yeah, it's a bowl, except the bowl is also dough.
Yeah.
One of the things that you'd mentioned before about the show, I forget where it was in Illinois, but the thing that I always think is hilarious is that in many places around the country, the comedy club is like most of the time something else, or the
Yeah.
comedy club is like placed within some other larger
A
umbrella.
bowling alley.
Yeah. Because like the one in where I went to high school,
We're in the former ball pit of this place.
yeah, no, it was in the dog track. It was in like the Greyhound track, and then it moved into like the hibachi restaurant.
Yeah. I've been in like the back of billiards clubs.
Comedy Store in Boston is a Chinese restaurant downstairs, and on nights, after the comedy on weekend nights, they have like a nightclub up there.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow. Yes, you forget. I guess in LA, you're here so long, you get used to these like freestanding buildings.
Right,
Like it's a
right.
whole club, and it's like, no, they just shoved a microphone in the back of a room. And
Yeah, but it's like a lot of shows here are like it's almost like, yeah, there's a comedy show, but like we acknowledge that this is a bar. We acknowledge that
yeah.
but
We
it's
don't
like,
pretend it's the club.
yeah, welcome to Groucho's Comedy Club, and then
Yeah.
you look around and it's just a hibachi grill restaurant.
Yeah.
The stage is 30, 50-pound bags of flour.
But some of them, they are clubs. Remember the Laughing Skull there in
Yeah, that's right, in the back
it was-
of the-
Oh, in the back of Vortex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that club.
Yeah.
That room is hot.
It's so good.
Oh, God.
But it's a dedicated
that room.
thing, right?
Yeah,
it's
that's
not,
true.
but it's not like a thing where it's like
It is a separate business.
It is separate.
literally just a section of carpet or a makeshift stage, just a plywood box, and it's just like, all right, this is the comedy club, and
Yeah.
there's seats around it, and then the rest of it's like people betting on like dogs that are being exploited.
Yeah, I did this quote club. It's closed down in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and it was just like an empty event space with like cold metal folding chairs. And like I pulled up and it doesn't say, he's like, yeah, we've had a rough turnout over the summer. There's not even a sign on the out. It's a blank building. Like it looked like it was in a strip mall, but it looked like something that would be like an empty for rent.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, maybe have a fucking sign. Nobody knows it's a comedy club.
It's like a place where like weirdos from Craigslist sell office furniture.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that when you do comedy. You get there and like, this is the place.
There was I mentioned Groucho's in Melbourne, Florida, where it was like, and I think it also was in like the room adjoining. So there was like a Denny's and a Ramada Inn, and then like there was a room that was like connected to the Denny's, but it was like open, so there wasn't like a door that you could open and close. It was just like an open doorway, and it was Groucho's in the Ramada Inn.
Yeah, they used to do it with the coconuts there too. Coconuts comedy clubs, they just pop up.
So was it the lounge bar and they just made it a comedy club?
But you couldn't buy booze there. It was just like, but it was like basically a comedy club in a Denny's in a hotel that prostitutes lived in and stuff.
Hell yeah.
And we're like, I'm living my dream.
Have you gone back to Alaska to do stand up or?
I have. I go back once a year. Actually, that's where I recorded my album.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. I did know that.
Yeah. There's a bar in Anchorage called Chilkoot Charlie's, and like they've really slowed down on their regular comedy schedule because they used to fly up comics. It went from like, I think they had them every week. Then they started doing every 2 weeks they'd have a comic. And now I think it's like monthly.
Oh, okay.
So it's like just less room for people to get in, which sucks because it's this. Chilkoot Charlie's is this iconic bar, but it's actually a building with 5 different bar rooms. And one of them there's a room called the Birdhouse, and it's literally slanted and people's brawls are hanging from the ceiling. And there's just this old bartender named Wanda. She's so old and she does the same like pranks to everyone, but she's got like the apron and she's got like a big black dick under it, and just like, which is just such a like old white Alaskan lady thing to be like, isn't this a hoot? And you're like, dear God, this is probably not okay.
Is that what you call it up there? A hoot?
Yeah. Well, and then she has this little, it looks like a skinny French horn. It's like a little brass instrument, and she says it's a ptarmigan horn, and she tells you, she's like, she makes you like stand by the window with it. She's like, if you blow the ptarmigans, it brings the ptarmigan, it's a bird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, I feel like I didn't know that except that I lived in Alaska. So, but, and you blow in it, and actually the horn is just filled with powder, with like flour, and it blows it in your face. So it's just very like corny.
Oh yeah.
But it's like trashy dive bar, but those crowds, they're amazing because there's one room where it's actually set up. It's a stage, and that's where they do like music performances. Stanhope used to do a ton of stuff.
I think I saw it in the Todd Barry.
Yes, when he did his crowd work
tour
Yes.
On Netflix.
Yeah.
Because I remember him being in Anchorage and that room being like crazy hot. I was like, I gotta go to Alaska.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy, and people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just there's not a lot to do, and there's like a big regulars scene there, so they're just people who like their entire social life is this bar, and the bar does a lot of social events, so they're like, it's comedy night Saturday,
heat's on.
Yeah.
Jessica, plug the record and your podcast and where people can find you on the internet and all that good stuff.
Yeah. If you want my album, it's Please Don't Leave Me. Jessica Michelle Singleton's my full name. It never worked, but
it's so goddamn funny. By the way,
thank you.
I listened to it when you first put it out, and it was on Spotify. It's on Spotify.
Yeah, it's on Spotify,
right.
iTunes, Google. It's everywhere. It's also on Tidal. Not to brag, but I'm out there.
What?
Yeah,
dude. All right. That's so cool.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's ever listened to it on Tidal, but it's there.
I don't know if anyone's listening.
I don't think it's going to Tidal and being like, I should listen to some comedy.
Yeah.
But it's me or Beyonce. So look that up anywhere. My podcast is #blessed. Ignorance is blessed. find me, listen to it. I would really love that. And you can find me all over the internet at JMS Comedy.
Yeah, and definitely check it out because Jessica is absolutely hilarious. I remember when Jessica first moved out here, you were doing the Comedy Store open mic around the same time I started doing comedy. And Jessica's always been like really, really fun. Even when she started out, it was like one of those things where it's just like, Jessica's different. She's funny.
Yeah.
She has an awesome point of view.
Name is on the damn building.
Yeah, I got
Hell
it
yeah.
on this year. Yeah. Oh, you guys. Don't know if I'm blushing or sweating.
Yeah. So definitely definitely give that album a listen.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
thank
And
you.
look for when she comes into your town.
Yeah, I will eventually come to probably every town.
Yeah.
You've been everywhere else.
I've been everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Coming soon to the back room of a Mr. Gaddy's near you.
Yeah.
I think that's a reference that would only work in Oklahoma and Alabama.
No,
'Cause-
it's
do you guys have Gaddy's?
no.
No.
Oh, that was a great pizza place. Anyway, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/thegoodspod. We're on Twitter at @thegoodspod. And big shout out to our friend Richard Eden. Speaking of the Great White North up there in the Yukon Territory, our webmaster doing the hard work at thegoodspod.com. Pat, what should the folks do when they get to iTunes?
They should rate, review, and subscribe, and get the word out because it shows the attitude of gratitude.
If you don't have the attitude of gratitude, then